I grew up in a secluded area of rural Michigan where there was little to do beyond watching the trees sway or wandering through endless fields. For someone who craved solitude, it was ideal, but I was eager to leave as soon as I could. Once I had a car and enough savings, I moved closer to the city, leaving behind that remote place. My parents sold the property 5 years ago, but I can still picture it clearly: 3 acres of land, a large house, and a storage shed that sat at the back of the lot. I was 13 when it happened. My parents often left me alone since I had earned their trust early on. It was a Saturday, and I was immersed in a game of Vice City on my PS2, completely at ease, when a metallic crash echoed from somewhere in the yard. Startled, I rushed to the windows, scanning the yard for anything unusual. Everything seemed in place until I looked out toward the storage shed. The heavy door was wide open. Without hesitation, I grabbed the rifle we kept in the closet, making sure whoever was out there knew I wasn't playing around. I yelled, "Who's in there?" but was met with silence. As I approached the shed, my grip tightened on the rifle. I peered inside, where all sorts of equipment lay scattered: our mower, a quad, and countless garden tools. Anyone could have easily hidden behind them. The air felt heavy, and an unsettling sense of dread washed over me. I backed out, closed the shed door, and hurried inside the house, locking everything behind me. My eyes remained glued to the shed, waiting for the door to swing open again, though I knew it was too heavy to open on its own. Someone had been out there, of that I was sure. I just didn't know if they were still around. Unsure of what to do, I called my dad. He didn't answer, so I left a voicemail. It was a time before texting was a common thing. I sat back down by the window, the phone clutched in my hand. To distract myself, I turned on the TV, but I couldn't shake the unease creeping over me. That's when I heard the faint creaks above me. My breath caught in my throat, and panic set in. Was I imagining things, or was there really someone here? Grabbing the rifle once more, I climbed the stairs quietly, unwilling to alert whoever might be in the house. The upstairs hallway was dim, with 5 doors closed tightly, 4 bedrooms and a bathroom. I crouched by the door to my parents' room, listening intently. Through the gap beneath the door, I saw something that made my stomach churn: 2 bare feet, motionless on the other side. Cold fear gripped me as the reality of the situation became all too clear. I wasn't ready for this. Without thinking, I bolted downstairs and locked myself in the bathroom, my hands shaking as I tried to call my dad again. No response. Desperate, I dialed 911, whispering to the operator about the intruder. She urged me to stay hidden and quiet, but it wasn't long before I heard footsteps descending the stairs. They stopped outside the bathroom door, and a deep voice called out, "What's up, kid?" I still remember it, clear as day. My heart pounded in my ears as I yelled, "I'm on the phone with the cops, and I've got a gun." I switched the call to speaker, and the operator asked if I was okay. The doorknob rattled as the intruder tried to get in, but when he realized the door was locked, I heard him walk away. A few seconds later, the back door slammed shut. Relief washed over me when the police finally arrived. They searched the house but found no trace of the man. I told them I could stay at my uncle's for the night, and after we contacted him, he came to pick me up. But the thought that still lingers, the one that haunts me, is that I made a mistake. I left the door unlocked when I went to check the shed, giving that man the perfect opportunity to slip inside. Even with a gun, I had never felt more vulnerable. It's something that will stay with me forever. I was 18 when my parents decided to take a week-long trip for their anniversary. By that time, my sister had already moved out, leaving me alone to take care of the house. Our home is surrounded by dense woods, with a long dirt road leading up to a quiet, almost forgotten back road. The neighboring properties are spread far apart, adding to the feeling of isolation. Everyone in our small town knows each other. You recognize familiar faces everywhere, whether at the gas station, the grocery store, or even at the local bar. This unsettling story began while my parents were away. I was filling up my car at the gas station when a black Jeep Cherokee pulled up beside me. A man with a goatee got out, greeted me casually, and began fueling his vehicle. In our town, it wasn't unusual for strangers to exchange greetings like that. After securing the gas pump, he approached me, asking for directions to the interstate. I gave him the best directions I could, but something struck me as odd. He pulled out a notepad to jot them down instead of using his phone like most people do. He thanked me, mentioning he wasn't from around here, though he didn't specify where he was from. As he finished fueling up, he asked for my name, and I told him it was Kate. He smiled, commenting on how beautiful my name was, before getting into his car and driving off. I didn't give it much thought until later, as I was driving home. Just as I was nearing our driveway, I noticed the black Jeep Cherokee behind me again. It passed by as I turned onto our road, heading in the opposite direction of the interstate. I brushed it off, figuring he might have gotten lost or forgotten the directions. That evening, I planned to meet some friends. As I stepped outside towards my car, I heard the sound of footsteps nearby. Living in a wooded area, I wasn't too concerned. It could have easily been an animal. Ignoring it, I got into my car and left. When I returned later that night, however, something felt off. As I made my way from the car to the house, a man's voice called out, "Kate." I froze, my heart racing. I looked around, but there was no one in sight. Shaken, I rushed inside and locked the door behind me. The neighbors knew my name, but their houses were far away, and there was no reason for anyone to be calling out to me like that. The next day, I spent most of my time at home. That evening, as I was about to leave again, I heard the same voice call out, "Kate." This time, I didn't hesitate. I bolted back inside, locked every door, and called 911. The police arrived and searched the property, shining flashlights into the woods, but they didn't find anything. They advised me to call again if it happened, but their reassurance did little to calm my nerves. The following day, I had work. I was a server at a local restaurant and had a late shift that night. After closing up, I drove home feeling uneasy. As I walked from my car to the front door, I felt a hand grip my shoulder. I spun around, my scream piercing the silence, only to find no one there.